Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Good Deeds Day Facebook mini series. Today, as before today, uh, this is what happens when we've been talking before Facebook Live and you get confused about the order of things you want to say. So welcome to our series. This is a series where we talk to partners from all over the world, having conversations about the work that they're doing, especially during these challenging times, and how they can share tips that will help you no matter where you are around the world. So my name is Tova Gar. I'm in charge of global partnerships and sponsorship here at Good Deeds Day. And today, I'm very excited to introduce you to my guest, Margarita Skipina from Hillel, Moscow. Margarita is the head of PR, at Hillel, Russia. And at Hillel, she's responsible for communication, engagement, and fundraising. She coordinates Good Deeds Day in 8 cities across Russia, and previously served as Moscow's Center for Contemporary Art, which means there probably, if you're an art fan, there's a lot of things you could probably talk to her about. And if you look at her background, you can see that she's brought her passion other than Good Deeds Day to our conversation today. For those of you who may not have heard of Hillel, Margarita will share a little bit about it later. Hillel is the largest student Jewish community in the world. There are Hillels at mostly, at least I know in America, it's universities, but you'll share with us what that looks like in Hillel. Really the largest Jewish student community. There are 8 Hillel centers that operate across Russia with over 9,500 students. And really they provide all kinds of projects and activities free of charge for Jewish students. So welcome, Margarita. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're very excited. And as we always do, if you are listening in with us here live, please share with us where you're listening in from. We always love to hear. Say hello. And if you have any questions throughout our conversation, please feel free to ask. So let's get started. Margarita, why don't you first tell us a little bit about Hillel Moscow, Hillel Russia. What is this all about? Many people are not familiar.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you very much for the introduction. Hillel is the largest student Jewish organization in the world. Like we operate in 17 countries, like in Israel, in the United States, in the countries of former Soviet Union, and of course in Russia. In Russia, we have 8 cities, including Moscow and St. Petersburg. So we serve to make people keep Jewish tradition. We support Jewish people, we support youth. And mostly we work with students from 18 to 27. The time difference, just to make it clear, the time difference between the eastern part and the western part is like 7 hours. So can you imagine? Like when we start in Moscow here, like at 10 a.m., it's already 5 p.m. in Khabarovsk, and they're getting ready, to meet Shabbat. So it's a bit challenging. But anyway, we work with students, and we do a lot of programs that helps people, that help young people to keep being Jewish in Russia and in general. And yeah, our team is also very young. Like people, our staff is like from 20 to 30 major mainly, and I'm almost the oldest one. Yeah, so what we do is we try to support Jewish people in Russia, especially in these difficult times. And of course, Hillel is for young people, and it is made by young people, and everyone can participate. So yeah.
Which is amazing. So, just translating for everybody listening, and when I mean translating, trying to think, right, when we're listening to these Facebook Lives, clearly we all have our own story. And so what I'm hoping people will take today from the conversation is, how do you run an organization that has a team of young people? And many of the volunteers, and the way that Hillel runs, at least from my personal experience, is that a lot of the activities are run by the students themselves, right? There are a lot of volunteers involved. Who are all young, right? So how do you manage a team that is so young and dynamic and also constantly changing? And so I think the first question I would love to ask you, and would love if you would share, is really, how do you manage a team of young people during a time of so much change, like the time that we're going through right now?
Yeah. So of course, during this time, during this difficult time, so we had to close our Hillel offices since like 16th of March, the middle of the March, and we had to close our Hillel houses due to lockdown, due to pandemic. And the first thing that came to mind that we couldn't know how, but we have to go through it. So people who work at Hillel, they are very passionate about their projects, their work. And of course, we were really frustrated and anxious as we were not sure where to start, like what to do when you have to close everything. But you are a community and you have to have a place where to come and to see each other face to face. So how should we exist during a pandemic, during a lockdown? So the first thing we did is we created several working groups regardless of geographical position. And people from all over the country were participating in different spheres, such as online programs and online communication and online volunteering and so on and so forth. And it was our first quick response to this changing times. So people wanted to take responsibilities for the good of the company. They wanted, sort of solidarity develops, and everyone is taking part in decision making. Everyone knows that it is important to participate now. So we knew that no one knows how to navigate through crisis, and we were not sure that we wouldn't make any mistake. But the second thing is not to be scared of making mistakes, like tolerating mistakes as absolutely normal. And we were trying to adjust quickly. Of course, the younger people, the more flexible they are. And the more easier for them to use gadgets and to use technologies. And they know all of these things like messengers and Zoom, and they are known with it, they are familiar with it. And we were trying to adjust quickly. And just over several days, we switched all our programs to online formats. Like, can you imagine? One of the programs is meeting Shabbat. So how does it look like? We meet at Hillel on Friday, and we invite a lot of people to keep Shabbat, to have like in the entertainment part, and then have a tradition part. But how can we do it online? So like, what should we do? So we decided to have several programming, several applications, several extensions to have a translation on oral social media networks. And we ran Shabbat online. And sometimes we use some technical issues. We will face some technical issues, and we use tools that we have never used before. But it was normal. And also, what is important that we have to analyze everything, as we have to mobilize and analyze everything that happens. And just in case of mistakes, we had to switch quickly. We had to invent something new and to find some new solutions. So the third main response to COVID was making volunteering crucial during this time. It's like an essential reaction during any difficult times. It is to help those who are in need and to help those who you can help. Like we were trying to mobilize our team and our volunteers and a lot of people just to help those who need our help, as it makes, like, you see the results of your deeds, and it creates a great emotional bonding among people. And this help is very remarkable and responsive, and you see it gives you the natural sense of accomplishments. Even if you cannot change everything around you, you cannot change the situation, at least you can help others despite you're limited, in your resources. Yeah. So we were trying to engage as many people of our team and our students to serve as volunteers and to serve as a part of the community of the company.
Mhm. So I love that you're talking about the fact that young people many times find it much easier to adapt, right?
Yeah.
Than us older ones. They also find technology, I think, much more native to who they are. I see that in my personal business work with younger teens, right? For them, talking to somebody on FaceTime or on any kind of technology is completely normal. It's not a big deal. For many of them, it's the same of being in the same room, and for older people, that can sometimes be a struggle. So that is the positive side. What are some of the struggles that you've seen in some of these young people throughout this lockdown, and really how have you been able to support them?
Well, during this pandemic, some surveys found out that, of course, the first thing young people suffer from is anxiety and stress and this feeling of uncertainty. The second was loneliness, and almost 70% said that they feel more lonely than ever. And of course, young people usually more likely to be working in the field that should be closed during lockdown. I mean, cafes, restaurants, and so on and so forth. And these financial concerns, they didn't let them to feel their their strengths or to feel normal or to isolate as much as they wanted to be isolated. So we know that this during lockdown, our habits are changing, and it changed our way of living and our hobbies and our habits of eating and shopping and so on and so forth. And of course, it left us anxious and frustrated. And we see our mission in supporting young people, and that's why the first thing we saw that we have to keep them doing Jewish thing as they did before. So to keep the normal way of living, we started to deliver some packages, some Jewish boxes like Shabbat boxes and Passover boxes with candles, with matzot, with challah, to help them keep being Jewish like in normal times. And that's
So
something.
just to translate for those who don't come from a Jewish background and this may be foreign to, Shabbat is Saturday or a day of rest, and there are various ritual items that are used to celebrate what we call the Sabbath, which are candles. Chalot are basically bread, usually baked and braided in a certain kind of way. And Passover is our holiday that we had during lockdown, which is usually in the spring. So
Yeah,
around Easter time for those of you
yeah.
who are Christian. So keep
Thank
going.
you.
Sure.
Thank you. So yeah, and maybe for them, as they had to celebrate it at home, maybe for some of them, it was like the first meaningful experience of being Jewish at home alone. So this is a remarkable thing. So the second is we were trying to adjust everything to online formats, and we were providing a lot of programs that help to educate people. Like we had like Hebrew courses and online excursions and even singing together and online concerts. And we were trying to pretend that everything is normal and we are together. We're
Right.
staying together and we can go through it like in normal time. So
Right.
the second important thing is that to help to cope with this anxiety and some mental health, some mental issues, we were running several projects like a mental health program free of charge for students, and they could talk to the coach, to the therapist. Uh, Also, we had several psychiatrists who anonymously had consultations with the students, which were very important for them. So yeah, and and of course, like I've talked already about volunteering. Volunteering helped people a lot, as being helpful shows you that you can cope with it and you can deal with it. And we ran several projects, like 8 projects throughout Russia, helping others, helping elderly people, helping young parents with young children. And all the volunteers, according to survey, they feel more happy than other people, than those who do not volunteer at all. So yeah, when we run these programs online, we even saw some growth in numbers of visitors. Like, when you can come to, to online excursion in Israel, you don't have to travel. You just can stay in Khabarovsk and have like a huge difference in time. But anyway, you can participate,
Yeah.
and just even sitting at home, you can feel welcome.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think you're bringing up a couple of very important points, right? First of all, the fact that for many of us, and I know that I personally experienced this as well, this has been can be a very lonely time, right? When we are stuck in our own homes and we're not really allowed to leave, or very little, and depending where you are in the world is where you are in that process of being home alone, and that can cause depression. It can cause just a serious heaviness, even for those who don't normally experience those kinds of experiences, right? This is a collective experience, and I think that at this point, at least for Judaism, Christianity, and the Muslim religion, and I'm sure for other religions as well, because this has been going on for so long, we've all celebrated major holidays that are celebrated as a family, as a community, where we've needed to celebrate those on our own. And that can be very sad and taxing. And so I love that you created an opportunity for people to get that emotional and mental support in different ways, whether it was anonymous or otherwise, because that is, I think, an aspect that many times we don't always address, right? We don't always address. That was one, I think, important thing. And the other thing is really, remembering, and I think all of us, I hope everybody listening to us today, is we all know that volunteering makes a difference. Volunteering makes you happier. Volunteering makes you feel more connected. I think we all see it in the work that we do every day. And I think we can never keep reminding people enough around us. Just the other day, somebody sent me an email, right? Do I have research on the impact volunteering has on social organizations? And I was like, well, I can refer you to 1,000 people, right? all over the world who do this and can show you that there's a huge difference. So thank you for
Absolutely.
reminding us of something that I think we know, but sometimes we need a reminder for. Could you share with us some of your best tips to really engaging students to volunteer? Because that's not always the easiest thing to do. Students tend to be very busy.
Well, yeah. So, talking about Good Deeds Day, like, we were the only operator of Good Deeds Day in Russia since like 2011. And we started with maybe 100 volunteers, and we ended up with thousands of them, with 1,500. And over this 4.5, oh, more than 4, I am
Fine.
responsible for Good Deeds Day. 4.5 over these years, we created, like, we made it a huge, remarkable event in cities cross country. And so the main, the key point is working with tools. Like, we were working, and now even during pandemics, we were working with the social media and website. Like, we forward people to the landing page with the convenient form to fill in. And we work with the social media. We encourage people to share their experience on social media, and we accompany every project, every volunteering project, with some materials, with the posts, with photos, with some impact of volunteers. And we try to harness the power of social media. When we work with social media, except that you have to do everything on your own on your official page, then you have like ambassadors, like people who are influencers, your volunteers, they are already influencers on their own. So they can, when they share experience, their experience, it engages people to the project per se. And we were trying to harness this social media. In some years, we even had the post written by our Moscow mayor, who encouraged people to participate, in volunteering program. And we try to harness social media and mass media that covered all the project. And the second important thing is transparency. You have to show everything how it is. You
Mhm.
have to describe every requirement, all the requirements, and all the responsibilities that volunteers have to take. Like you have to show where to start, what to do. And sometimes it can be challenging, but you have to do it.
Right.
And just about, it's about trust between you and the audience. And as a result, you show the impact people are having, like all the projects, all the deeds that you have already. You have to share the results, and presenting these photos and presenting this video makes people more engaging and more it's appealing to them, and it engages people. And showing these results is an essential um, point in communication. And the last but not the least, we try to create an image of volunteering, and we see volunteering as enjoyable, let's say, and
Yeah.
safe. And what we show is that volunteering is about friendship, making friends and meeting some friends and meeting new people. It's about safety, and we provide students with funny masks and gloves. We ensure the transportation with the taxi, and we try to show it as full of joy and appreciation. And we tag people in social media in our
Mhm.
posts, and we tag them and we thank them, and we show that all that we've done together, and
Mhm.
all the results are theirs. And it,
Right.
it also works with partners, like showing your appreciation, even with a letter of appreciation, or it's informal on your social media. It is very important to show how you're amazed by people who are doing it together. And this is the only way to deal with this strange time. So,
I
yeah.
think you've brought up multiple points, which I'm not going to sum up right now. But what I'm hearing from you is, and what I do want to make sure that people are hearing is use the strengths of the people in front of you, right? The strengths and the way they do things. In your case, this is students. So the way they appreciate, the way they communicate, and the way they connect and show appreciation, which I think is something we all every day always need a reminder for, right? I feel like there are two things in life we always could use more of a reminder for. That is gratitude and appreciation, right? Being
Absolutely.
grateful for what we have and being appreciative of the people in our lives who make a difference, who contribute, and whatever they do. We all like to be appreciated. And when we are appreciated, we like to give more. And so I think that's a good reminder for everybody listening to us today. So I want to ask you because I think this is a challenge that everybody has, right? You have a limited budget. We all have limited budgets. It's the way the nonprofit world works. And you had shared with me, and I would love if you could share with everyone today. How did you deal with this challenge of both limited resources as well as growing needs during this time? What are some of the things that you've done?
hmm So when we started to plan volunteering, first we wanted to help elderly people, and we wanted to create this good packages with a product kit, with something that can help elderly people to go through it, as they cannot leave their flats and their apartments. and but we didn't have such resources to buy many products as we're youth organization. We have to serve youth people. So first we reached our Jewish communities and of course JDC and all these amazing people. They helped us to create these like packages from grocery stores. And in some cities, we reached out to some shops and restaurants, and they gave us these good packages full of food or hot meals. And it was truly amazing, and we're really thankful. But we didn't know how to ensure transportation of people as
Mhm.
when when you have like a package of 10 kilograms and you have to carry on it, and it's just impossible if you are a girl and you have to buy everything and to carry on it's just impossible. So
Yep.
then we limited the number of volunteers with those who have cars or driving license. And also it was not the solution as we limited the number of volunteers. And then we found a great partner, which is called Yandex. It's a huge corporation like Google, maybe in the States, and it has its own taxi service, which is called the Yandex Taxi, and in Israel you may know it as the Yango. And they helped us all. They provide us with free driving, free taxi driving for all the volunteers.
Amazing.
It was amazing, and it was a great help. So doing this together, it was truly very helpful. And all these amazing companies, they were standing together. And also, I want to thank Good Deeds Day project. They helped with the mini grant to buy some stuff. It was truly amazing to combine all these people, to combine all these companies to make a difference, to work together. That's ensured our success, and that's ensured the help that we could provide. So the key point was to share with those who have an opportunity to give you something. Like
Hmm.
you cannot do it on your own. It's just impossible. And they have their own competence, they have their own expertise, and it's better to reach those people and those companies who have it. Otherwise, you cannot help if you are limited only with
Right.
the things that you have.
Yeah. And what I'm hoping people will take from this is, first of all, don't be embarrassed to ask, right? My father has always said to me since I was a little girl, if you don't ask, you don't get, right?
Absolutely,
If you want something, you
absolutely,
have to ask for it. And so that's number one. Don't be embarrassed to ask. When you, as a volunteer organization, want to volunteer, you're doing something good, right? You're not saying to the company, oh, give me money for my own benefit. You're saying, help us do something good and be a part of doing good. And people like being a part of doing good. So you're allowing them the opportunity to do something good. Remember that. And you're bringing to them a way in which they can use the resources that they already have, right? I know that we saw here in Israel that, there were many bus companies, right? Public transportation was not working. And so there were lots of buses. And so bus companies were using the buses also to give out food to the needy, to do all kinds of volunteer opportunities. That's just one example, but there are many of them. So make sure that you reach out, think about what are your resources in your community? Who can you reach out to? Who can give you in kind, right? It's not even doesn't necessarily cost them money or something significant because they're using what they already have to be a part of the greater community, and then make sure, of course, to show appreciation, right, for the work that they did. So our time has gone by super quickly, so I want to ask you, I want to make sure that we get in one more question before we end today, and that is the issue of reporting.
yeah.
So I know that you are very good at reporting.
We try
um,
to.
and so I would love if you could share, first of all, what is the place of reporting in your process and how has it helped you?
Yeah.
Um, you've been doing, I know in terms of the relationship, for those who are listening, just so you know, in terms of our relationship with, Hillel Russia, they were on our first year of going international with Good Deeds Day. They were our partners and they were ready to go. So we've had a long-term relationship. So when I say that they're good at reporting, I can tell you that with confidence. So why don't you share?
Yes, thank you very much. So we see reporting as a key part of communication. That's the way you show how all these deeds are done and you show the results. It is important not only for volunteers, but also for donors, for partners, for your supporters, for your followers. And it's just a good manner, just to show what you've done with the help of others too, because it's always the result of many people involved, and it creates transparency, it creates emotional bonding, it creates trust between you and the audience. So regarding this lockdown projects, we have a landing page where we share the results regularly, weekly, and every week we update information about the number of packages we delivered or number of elderly people that we have contacted. And we know for sure that our followers or our donors, they track it, and we are really thankful for it, as it shows where all the resources go. So we try to share all the photos immediately on social media, and people share it, and they become an ambassadors of their success and our success together. And of course, truly showing impact is something that you prove that volunteers make a difference. And that's something that is essential for the whole charity, like for the whole philanthropic field. It just gives you the right to say that you are a charity or volunteering company. We try to maximize publicity. We try to highlight all the results of the personal impact that each volunteer makes. And it has a positive impact on the time of crisis. It has a positive impact of the company. So it just gives a sense that that's what we really need.
Yep. And I think what I hope everybody is hearing is that reporting and finding a way to share what you do well impacts the whole 360 circle of volunteering. It impacts your volunteers, it impacts your organization, it impacts people who would like to support your organization and support the work that you're doing. It benefits everyone and really establishes you as someone who can trust. I was just recently talking to one of our partners in one of the other countries, and she was telling me they were doing a project, and it was a great project, and they were trying to raise some more money, some more funds for it, and some more people, and she hadn't shared that she was involved in this project, right? And then later on, somebody who she knows said, "Oh, wait a second, this was your project. Had I known this was your project, I would have supported you, right? Because I trust you. I trust you. I know that if I'm going to give funds to you, it's going to be spent well, it's going to be used in a good way." And so there was a missed opportunity there because, she didn't use the full use of her reporting and showing, who she was and that she was behind this and that her organization was behind this. So, really remember that reporting isn't just an annoying task to do for your funders or for somebody that has given you funds or you've made a commitment to, but it really supports all angles. People like to be involved with something that looks serious, that looks real, that they feel that they're, like we said, will be appreciated. So thank you for sharing that great insight with us today. Our time is up. Thank you, Margarita, for being with us today. I really appreciate you sharing the great work that you're doing and some tips for people to learn from. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tova.
My pleasure. So I want to invite you to our next conversation, which is going to be this coming Thursday. It's 11 a.m. Zambia time, and I wasn't sure how to translate to other places. So look at your global watches to find out what time that is. And in any case, look at our event page on Facebook. That'll tell you for sure. It's the easiest way. We were going to be having a conversation with Alex Waluka from the Charity Center for Children and Youth Development in Zambia. It's going to be a really interesting conversation. So join us then. In the meantime, have a great day. Stay home if still necessary. Stay safe for sure. And we look forward to seeing you on our next conversation. Bye.